our second speaker for today's session. It is Dr. Partha Sarathi Malik, an associate professor of education from Gangadhar Meher University, Sambalpur, Odisha, India. Dr. Saab will be discussing how to do review of related literature. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay. So, very good evening to all the organizers and the participants. So, at the very outset, I would like to express my thanks to Dr. Shaileja Vasudeva, the organizing secretary of the program, the World Development Program. So, nice platform and nice audience, including the nice resource persons. Thanks a lot. I feel privileged to be a part of this program. So, as I have discussed with you regarding the topic of my presentation, that is basically it is about one of the important component known as the review of the related literature. Before going to have a discussion on this aspect, I would like to throw some light regarding the present scenario of the Indian quality of the Indian research. So, as you know, as far as the research ranking is concerned, global research ranking is concerned, perhaps the country like India comes at the bottom stage. There are multiple reasons. I will not go one by one, but what I mean to submit is that one of the core elements or one of the core aspects which we are lagging behind is exactly we can follow the exactly the knowledge construction component. So, in the due course of this knowledge construction component, I would like to submit that the review of the related literature is exactly the heart of the entire research process. Because if whether my research will be quality, will I contribute something to the quality to the research? It depends upon how I have conceptualized or how I know exactly what is there. So this is my background of my entire discussion of the today's 1 hour talk. So let us start. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in the 1 hour duration of my discussion, I would like to present before you the review of the related literature in the research context. After the presentation, we can know why review is very important, or what is the importance of reviewing the literature, and where we can do review, and when we can do review, and how we can do review. These aspects of the review of the literature I will discuss today. Let us start. Exactly, this is the entire theme, what I mean to say. This entire theme is about the importance of a review of literature, how a review of related literature helps a research and helps a researcher. I was talking about the quality component. And I was indirectly trying to say that the quality of research outcome that the researcher from India producing is very low quality. Why it happens? Exactly, we do not have exactly clear-cut understanding about how to do the literature review and why it is very much important. Let us start. If I pick up any from the any circle here, I will start from the very left upper corner of the block. That is the deducing a conceptual framework for your study. Before going to say what is the concept, before going to say how it helps to deduce, I have to say about what is the conceptual framework. Exactly when we do review, we exactly find what? We find either some empirical findings on the specific questions we are trying to give the answer or get the answer. That's called the empirical findings, number one. Number two, we can find any model. Any researcher have conceptualized or suggest any model, or we can find out some theoretical explanation about the question. So exactly this type of research outcome in the form of previous literature, we can merge all these things. And after merging all these things, that will exactly help a researcher to conceptualize clearly what he is going to find out and what is exactly the previous researcher are saying. So the conceptual framework is very much important for a researcher to bring quality. This is the first component, because if we do not know how the things is happening or how the particular variable is the changing, or what are the variables are related with the present variable, or what is the outcome the previous researchers are saying, if we cannot synthetically or we can accumulatedly understand all these things, then we cannot conceptualize exactly the research. This is the first one. This is the first benefits that a review of literature provides to the researcher. Second one is, in the due course of our research, we generally do one thing that is called we hypothesize our finding. Exactly how we hypothesize. Hypothesis is nothing but a tentative solution of the problem, or I can say the tentative answer to our question. So exactly how I can hypothesize? I can purely hypothesize based upon the previous researcher's findings. If the previous researcher, there are exactly multiple framework how to hypothesize. I can say that, for example, I am trying to find out what is the relation between a particular variable known as intelligence and another variable known as academic achievement. Okay, so I search in the internet, or I found lots of research papers, or I go to a research library and I found a lots of pieces of dissertation, and I just jot down all these things. For example, I found 100 outcomes. So if I can minutely observe all these outcomes in a single page or single at a glance, then I will find either maximum means more than 60% are saying yes, there is a positive relationship, or it may happen that maximum are saying negative, or it may be saying that maximum are supposing or stating that there is a positive relationship and some are saying about the negative relationship. Or it may be situation that there is no relationship has been found by the previous researcher. So this may be the situation. What I can do? I can do exactly based upon the three types of logic. First logic is that if maximum researchers are saying positive, maximum means if my total number of reviews are 100 and I am satisfied that more than 60% findings say that there is a positive relationship exists between intelligence and achievement. So without any hesitation or with a logic, I can hypothesize my finding that it is expected to be found out that there exists a positive relationship between intelligence and achievement. Similar things can happen in case of if I found there is either negative correlation or there is no correlation. I can also similarly do that. Third one is that if I can find anything consistently, that means 30% are saying positive, 30% are saying negative, and 30% are saying no relation. What I can do? When we do not find any consistency in the reporting or consistency in the previous researcher findings, I can frame a null hypothesis. So my logic is that as I can find a consistency in the research literature, so I will suggest to frame a null hypothesis. Whatever it may be, the hypothesis I framed, the way I hypothesis framed, it purely comes from the previous research literature. So this is the second important component that we can get the help from the previous literature. And the third one, finding of the research gap. This is the most important thing. That is, whenever we started doing a research, exactly, we have to justify that a huge number of research has been already conducted. Still, then why I am saying that my research is unique, or why I can say that, or how I can say that my research has some unique place, or it has some rationality to be conducted. So exactly this rationality comes from the previous researcher stance. After reviewing lots of researcher findings, a researcher can easily conceptualize that though this way, for example, this way, particular way, already huge number of researchers has attempted to find out either simple association or causal association. May not be the situation that no one has tried to find out a mediating process, or no one has tried to find out a moderated process. So you can also start doing a research by stating that I am putting in between this independent and dependent variable another one that I am stating this as the mediating process or moderate process. So this way, when we establish our rationality, that became nice to claim that this is our research gap. So what I mean to say that whenever we find a research gap, our research gap should purely come from the previous research related literature. If we have not studied it intensively, then we cannot find the research gap. And the next one is that. And before going that, I will go just the fast, down to the conceptual framework circle. That is the selection of methodology. Research has basically three questions. Whenever we do research, we exactly try to give answer to the three basic questions. Or our research reports exactly consist of three primary questions. One is what I am doing. Second is that how I am doing. Third one is that what I found. So middle part is called the research methodology. How I can do. If my question is that, then how I will do. So how I will do, I cannot decide the methodology by means of my own interest or by means of own belief system. How I will try to measure, how I will try to select the design, how I will control the situation, what type of tools I will use, exactly this idea comes to the mind of the researcher from the previous researcher stance. You can find a trend. If you review 100 papers, you can find that if similar type of questions has been taken by the previous researcher, they have taken a particular type of design, or maximum have used a particular type of design, then it is very much logical to deduce that type of methodology for your study. Or you can also claim that, or you can also claim a reverse way. You can also claim that as they have tried to find out the answer to the questions in a typically either in a survey method or in an experimental method. But I am trying to find out the solution by means of other design. It's up to you. But research selection of a methodology comes from review of the related research. And I will now go to the right hand side of the end circle. That is about our discussion and the conclusion. This is the another vital component. How we do research exactly? We do research. That means we exactly select a problem, then we select a methodology, then we collect data, then we try to analyze data, then finally we got a result. Okay, that part is okay. That part. Then exactly the findings I found by collecting the data, it is up to me or up to my design. It has no relation with the literature or no relation with the entire knowledge world. entire knowledge world exactly wants to know from us that how we are contributing. Sorry, 1 minute. Hello. Sorry, sorry, 1 minute. Exactly after finding the result, we should go for a discussion. That discussion, exactly what happens? That discussion is nothing but associating our finding with the previous researcher's finding. Either we can support our stance with the previous researcher's stance, or we can contradict our stance with the previous researcher's stance. Okay. If we consistently if we found a similar type of result, our discussion should include why this type of findings is coming. Or if the situation happens, our research findings is exactly different from the previous research's findings, we have also to state that why it is different. Exactly, this is the most vital component that brings the quality. That means we are contributing something to the research literature by means of our clear-cut discussion, and that discussion cannot be done by isolated way. That discussion should come along with the previous research findings, and finally, in this way, we can deduce the conclusion. I think it is clear that why the review of related literature is very much important for researcher. Then come to the next slide. Now the question comes, lots of questions come to our mind. Can we conduct study without review of literature? The answer is yes, you can. That means if we are doing the research, that means, as we know, there are 3 types of research based upon our purpose. We can call them as fundamental or basic research. Another one is called the applied research, and third one is called the action research. Action research is that type of research which is exactly done by the practitioners. That means those persons who are doing a particular type of work, the problems is related with their work or their profession. They are trying to solve the problems. So when their intention is to immediate solution of the problem, no need to have a detailed idea or a intensive review of the related literature. They can do a research and solve the problem without doing the research. But when it is a matter of a different type of research known as explanatory research, exactly what is explanatory research? I will not say, the thing will not be clear. Explanatory type of research is basically nothing. It's known as the quantitative type of research, where we are trying to explain the relationship or causation between or among variables. When it is a matter of quantifying the research, or when it is a matter of explaining the relationship, or I can say the causal relationship or linear relationship, then of course our review of related literature is very much important, because we have to hypothesize the findings before collecting the data, before testing it. So in case of explanatory type of research, it is very much required that a researcher should make an intensive review of the related literature. Third one, if it is a matter of the explorative type of research, what will happen? If we are trying to explore the phenomena, exactly when I am saying the explorative research, indirectly I mean to say that some type of research where you are newly doing the research, that means you are not novice, you are experienced, but the phenomena which you have focused is purely new in nature, and you are utilizing the qualitative design, and you have based upon the grounded theory of research, you are trying to explore the phenomena. When you are trying to explore the phenomena, exactly at that time, 2 things come. I will suggest, yes, it is required. Yes, it is required. Why? Because if you are utilizing or you are using ethnography as a methodology, or case study as a methodology, or your historical design as a methodology, all are the one type of explorative research. At that time, though we are not intending to hypothesize the findings, but of course we are trying to deduce some perspective, because if you don't know what are the perspectives that are already available to the particular question, or they are trying to explain the phenomena, or sorry, try to say something about the phenomena, then we cannot suggest our own perspective. So though you are trying to do a qualitative research, at that time I suggest there should be an intensive review of the literature. May not be you find the huge number of research, but you can find some of the researches that may not be directly connected to your intended question, maybe in a distal way they are related, but these things help you to better conceptualize your problem. So you can do. Then the question is, the next question is that, what is the relevance for your descriptive research? When it is a matter of descriptive research, exactly our intention is neither to explain nor to explore, or it may be both, because descriptive is such a design which includes both the explorative and the explanatory research. Sometimes some researcher some academician has suggested we can only just describe the status of the present phenomena of a variable or a concept. When it is merely describing, that means how much the things is happening. So there is no requirement to do an intensive review, because neither you are trying to hypothesizing, nor you are trying to go to the inner part of the phenomena, or you are trying to explore the phenomena. You are in a position to merely describe the status. For example, what is the average girls studying in a particular village? How many students are getting job? What is the pass percentage of a particular school? Or what is the average literacy of a particular state? When your question is like this type of question, trying to give the answer to this type of question, you are saying the status of a phenomenon. So you are using the descriptive research design. So no requirement to have a detailed review of the related feature. If your work is, though you are using descriptive design, if your work is either extensive to connect your pass rate with their parental income, pass rate with your quality of teaching, pass rate with the number of days students are coming to the school or college, at that time you are extending the descriptive to the explanatory framework. So of course, in these cases, it is required to have a detailed review of the related literature, because you have to hypothesize that part. Okay. The next question is very much interesting. That is, do you know that review of the related literature is itself an independent type of research? Because I would like to share my own experience. Last year, one of my students has done one doctoral degree just in my supervision. He has done nothing but make an intensive review of the related literature. Neither he has gone to the spot to collect data. His topic was like this: the social perspective of the mental health. How the society exactly either is influencing or increasing the mental health, or reducing the mental health. He has exactly make a review of the approximately 400 research outcomes. Then on the basis of these outcomes, he has synthesized all the things, try to categorize the findings, and finally he has given his own stance. So this way, we should well aware that review of related literature is itself an independent type of research, and it is the most highest qualitative type of research. If you are doing a review, then you can also report or publish your findings. Then go to the next part. Then the question comes, we are doing research, okay, and we are going a research for a long duration of time. We have selected a topic, now we are collecting data, we are analyzing data, discussing the results, finally conclusion. Then sometimes researchers are confused. So when we have to do research, there are two types of questions comes to their mind. Whether before identifying a problem, will I do review? Or after identification of problem, will I make the review? This type of research, this type of questions exactly comes to the mind of a researcher. My answer is that review of related literature is exactly done in multiple phases of the time, multiple phases of the research. Before identifying the problem, because you will identify the problem from the review of related literature. Again, after identifying, if you want to specifically identify your objectives or your specific research question, again you have to do an intensive review. So review of related literature has a symbiotic relationship within the different phases of life. When you are selecting a method, you have to intensively review related literature. Maybe that you have reviewed. Just look at this, how the previous researchers have utilized their design, how they have collected the data. So what happens at every phase of your research, you are bringing some input, or some inputs are coming from review of the related literature. So every moment the review of related literature is helping the researcher. Go to the next step. Then this is the because this is the practical aspect. I am saying a lots of things. Okay, that seems to be nice. But how to do a review of related literature scientifically? If we want to review a literature, how we can do it scientifically? Come. I have given some suggestions or some tips. Choose a topic. First, choose a topic and define your research question. This is the most vital aspect. Because whenever we are saying to our scholars, whenever they are doing either MPhil or PhD, we are saying, you select a topic. So sometimes what happens? They become very much confused. Sir, finally they will do one thing. They'll write down some of the topics and so on. Sir, please select in between these 5 topics, you select one. This is the major problem. So my suggestion is that you first select a topic. Topic means a broad area. Then define your research question. Exactly. Each question, each research is nothing but either a linear or a composite type of questions that you are trying to give the answer. So you try to specify your research question. That will help you a lot. Your literature review should be guided by a central research question. Remember, it is not a collection of the loosely related studies in the field, but instead represent the background and the research development related to your specific research questions, interpreted and analyzed by you in a synthetic way. So what I have tried to say before you that whenever we are reviewing literature, we should keep in one thing. Our approach should be very much critical and synthetic. These two things should come to our mind. I will not take the independent researcher's outcome. I have to at a glance check the outcomes of the 50 or the 100 researchers' outcomes. At a nutshell, I have to say what the maximum researchers are saying. That's a synthetic perspective of analyzing the result. Okay. So that means when I am trying to synthesize all the findings, at that time, each researcher outcome or researcher's report are connected with each other, so that I can either categorize the findings or I can make a trend or development. What are the development that has been happened in my interest area? Okay. So how to do it? There are certain tips. I have suggested some tips. Make sure your research question is not a broad or too narrow. Is it manageable? I can write this type of question, technology in the field of education. This is a very broad type of question. So try to make your research question very specific. And another thing is that you should pose a question that you can manage to do. Because if it is too much vast and you are giving 1 year or 6 months to do a research, you have no sufficient time to do. So try to make it specific and it should be manageable. Begin writing down that are related to your question. begin write down the terms that are related to your research question. Because when you start reviewing the related literature, exactly what are the sources? First, you have to know. Previously, when we were doing research, at that time our supervisor was saying, you have to go to the library, you see the thesis, you see the yearbook of research yearbook. Nowadays, we are not saying all these things to our scholars. What we are suggesting? We are suggesting simply sit in your own room, just search all the things in the internet, because every thesis are available in the internet and every good quality research papers are available in the internet. So my question is that, sorry, what I mean to say that when you are trying to search the related literature, first you have to write down some of the important terms that you will search in the internet, so that, or you will search in the Google, so that you can find the related research outcomes that are interesting to you, or that are related to you, or that would be relevant to you. So you have to first note down all the things. This will help you to search at the later stage. And if you have opportunity, discuss your topic with your supervisor. Then, decide the scope of your review. Exactly, I just told you. That means you have also own framework. Means you have some time limit. So you try to make your boundary. How many studies you need to look at? Maybe 1,000 studies are available. You have to specify it. I will take 200 or 100 or more than that, whatever it may be. If you are doing PhD, so number of research studies is more. If you are doing MPhil or low quality research, so it may be less than that. How comprehensive should it be? For example, you are trying to find just a relationship between variables. So your review should be covered about the relationship aspect. If you go to the causation aspect, then it is extending more. If you are trying to relating the particular variable with the other associated variable, then you are extending your research area. So you should be specific that I will search only the relationship aspect, or I will cover it in the causation aspect. I will not go beyond that. Then final thing is that how many years should it be covered? Generally, what happens? People or the researchers try to state the research outcomes from the very earlier days, 1900, your 70, 80, 90, like that. So my suggestion is that whenever you are doing research, you try to fix within which period the research outcomes that are available, you will consider all these things. You will fix. My suggestion is that don't try to make it too previous or too delay, because the rationality is that those who have done subsequent research, assumption is that they have already referred to the previous research findings. So don't try to reconsider all these things. If you don't find any uniqueness or very interesting or very good quality of the research, so just avoid all these things. You may take recent one. Maybe, for example, if you are doing a research in the 2022, you can take the last 10 years or last 15 years. So you can do. Tips is that this may depends upon the nature of your research work. Already I have discussed it. And second thing, that how many sources does the research work? Okay, there are multiple sources. You have to decide how many sources does the research work. Third thing is that select the database you will use to conduct a research. Because whatever research findings we are getting in the internet, they are exactly enlisted in a database. Okay. Make a list of the database you will search. Maybe Scopus, maybe Web of Science, maybe PubMed, maybe Google Scholar, etc. You decide or select that means I will take the research paper available in this database. Okay. Tips, how you will select it. Tips is that look at the library research guide in your discipline to select the discipline specific database. Because if you are doing a research on the medical science, there are certain databases available for the medical science. If I am doing a research on the social science, exactly there are some databases are available for the social science. If I am doing a physical or material science, some databases are typically available to our discipline. So we can got all this idea if we can consult with a library research guide. Okay. Don't try to forget, look at the book, because book is the most important element that will give you the good sense of review. Conduct your search and find the literature. Keep track of your search. What I'm trying to say, that whenever you are searching in the internet, conduct your search and find the literature. Keep track of your research. That means whatever database I have already searched or which papers I have already find out, you have to track it. First, you do one thing. First, review the abstract of a research study carefully. This will save your time. Because if I will get the entire paper or entire thesis and I will go through reading all the things, it will take a lot of time. So my suggestion is that first look at the abstract, because abstracts say the entire researcher's question, his methodology or her methodology, and finally outcomes. So at a glance, you can find out whether from the abstract, whether the particular research outcomes required to be studied in detail or it is not related with your interest area, because you are searching something that abstract is saying the entire research is about the different thing. So you can reject the paper or you can reject the thesis just by looking at the abstract component. So then write down the search you have conducted in each database. You have to use your paper and pencil. That will help you a lot. So just utilizing your paper and pencil, you have write down which papers I have already searched, so that you may not duplicate them again if you need to later. Okay. Then my another suggestion is that use the bibliography as reference of the research studies you find to locate others. Look at this thing. What happens if I get a good quality of paper which is very much related with my own research question? Then better I have to refer the bibliography of reference of that particular research paper, because that will help me to locate the other type of researcher that are called the secondary sources. One paper, but that will guide me to get a lots of paper. Okay. Then ask your supervisor or other scholars in the field if you are missing any keywords in your field. You try to discuss. Whenever you are searching, you try to discuss with your friends or your co-scholars or your supervisor. Say, sir or madam, I have searched all these words, but I am not getting. Then they will help you. No, you are missing the particular important words. Perhaps for this cause, you are not getting the good quality of research findings. Okay. Use the reference work to keep track of your research citation. Then some questions which help you to analyze the previous research findings scientifically. Okay. Now what happened? You have searched it. Okay. Up to this, what I want to say that you have searched the entire literature from the internet. Okay. Now my intention is to say that how you will analyze the previous research findings scientifically. You have to analyze it. I am saying that because the previous research findings are not isolated. They are comprehensive. They have a coherence. They have a developmental pattern. You will find all these things if you scientifically analyze the findings. Okay. So what were the research questions of your study you are reviewing? Try to remind it or recall it. As you are searching this question, you have to recall it. What were the authors trying to discover? This is the again second thing. Whenever you are studying at a glance the 20 or 30 research papers outcomes, you try to summarize all the findings, then try to give the answer to your question. What the previous researchers are trying to discover? Are they trying to discover the same thing that you have intended, or they are trying to give answer to a different type of questions? This should help you a lot. What are the research methodology that the previous researcher has majority researchers have used. That will help you a lot. Analyze its literature review, the samples and the variables you use, the results and the conclusion. Because whenever we are reviewing, we have to review each component, their methodology, their question, and their design, their data collection tools, their result, and how they have concluded this thing. You have to review each part, because each part will help you. Does the research seems to be complete? After reviewing all these things, for example, we have reviewed 50 research studies. Okay. Then you ask a question to yourself. Do you think that from knowing all these things, what I was trying to investigate, it seems to be complete? Then again ask you a question, could it be conducted more soundly? That means you are asking question to the methodology that they have used. Or you are asking question to the research technique they have used, data collection technique they have used. So you ask all the question to yourself. Or you may discuss all these things with your supervisor. I think the methodology is not sound enough. It could have been done in a different way. What the further questions does it raises? Another thing I have exactly missed here, I try to say you. If you look at a research report, any sort of report, at the end part, you will find that the researcher has suggested some of the things to the further researcher. You can also get a topic from this type of questions. Okay. Then, if there are conflicting studies, means conflicting about results, perhaps I have just already discussed with method. If some researchers are saying there is a positive relationship between X variable and Y variable, and another group of researchers are saying there is a negative correlation between the X variable and Y variable, so the results are conflicting with each other. Okay, then you try to resolve the question. Why do you think that this is happening? Why this may be? If you can critically analyze these things, this will help you exactly to conceptualize the entire thing and to find out your research problem more systematically. You will be in a logical position, more logical position. Then another things I would like to suggest, how the authors are viewed in the field. This is the most important paper, the most important component, because the same topic has been made research by the lots of researchers. You have to exactly find out which research study is very much important or qualitative. How you can identify the quality? Simply you have to see at the citation level. Search any paper in the internet. At the right hand side, you will find how many times this paper has been cited. So more the cited, the logic is that more the quality it is. So on the basis of the citation, number of citation, you can easily find out that this paper or this research is very much qualitative. If so, how it has been analyzed and how the researchers have used the particular research studies in multiple ways. Look at this thing. Researcher has done a particular research and he has stated the findings. But researcher from the other discipline, maybe economics, maybe education, maybe political science, maybe sociology, maybe language group, they are taking the same researcher's findings in multiple contexts. If you can identify all these things, it will help you a lot. That means the particular researcher's outcome is very much qualitative, so that researchers from the multiple framework or multiple discipline, they are referring their work in a multiple way. So there are certain tips. You do one thing, you again review the abstract carefully. Ask what I have stated you just review the abstract. Again, I am saying after doing all these things, you do again. Because now multiple things is clear in your mind. Okay, what I was searching, whether the previous researchers are trying to give the answer to my question, what type of methodology they are using. After knowing or after just synthesizing the huge number of findings, you again go one by one again. So this will exactly give you a real sense or real meaning. Keep carefully notes so that you may track your thought process during the research process. How I have thought the phenomena, you just note down in your notebook. So it will help you a lot. Now you have to exactly now compose or report your research and literature review, because you have to write now. Whenever we are doing a research, we have to give finally a report. So in the reporting part, we have to also report the review. Once you have settled on general pattern of organization, you are ready to write each section. Okay. How the methods has been designed, what are the questions the researcher has tried to give answer, and what is the developmental pattern, and how the conflict results has been suggested, and why there is a conflict of results. If all these patterns are clear before you, now you are trying to report all these things or write all these things. There are few guidelines you should follow during the writing stage. Here is a sample of paragraph from the literature review about the sexism and language to eliminate the following discussion. Okay, look at this thing paragraph. It is written. This is nothing but a reporting about the review. However, other studies have shown that even gender-neutral antecedents are more likely to produce masculine image than feminism one. That has been cited by Mr. Gestil. Hamilton asked the students to complete the sentence that requires them to fill in pronouns that agreed with gender-neutral antecedents, such as writer, pedestrian, and persons. The students were asked to describe any image they had when writing the sentence. Hamilton found that people imagined 3.3 men to each woman in the masculine generic conditions and 1.15 men per woman in the unbiased condition. Thus, while ambient sexism accounted for some of the masculine bias, sexist language amplified the effect. Source is that. So this is the exactly way we can report our literature review. Okay. Now some of the tips for reporting the review. I just read an example. First tip is that use the evidences. When you are trying to say something, cite them. In the example above, the writer referred to the several other sources when making their point, because the point is the writer's point. It is not the point of the previous researcher. Now it is become a part of the present researcher's point. But when he is trying to state the point, he is citing the previous researcher's stance. A literature review, in this sense, is just like any other academic research paper. Your interpretation of the available sources must be backed with the evidences to show that what you are saying is valid. Okay. Next suggestion is that you should be selective. Select only most important point in each source to highlight in the review. Because what happens when you are citing any researcher's findings or any researcher, there is no requirement to write the entire line. You should be very much systematic in the selecting which particular words you will highlight. Then write dot. No requirement to write the full complete sentence. Just start it and end it, and in between these the things you want to give emphasis, write all the things. The type of information you choose to mention should relate it directly to the review focus, whether it is thematic, methodological, or chronological. That means it may be theme-based, it may be your methodological part, or it may be about the developmental pattern or the chronological part. That means in 1950, this was the trend. 1960 to 70, this was the trend. 70 to 80 to 90, this was the trend. But in the 2020, 2000 to 2010, the trend was different. Then you may pose the question, why this difference happens? When you are saying about the developmental pattern or about the theme or the methodology, so what is your point is your, they will only help you to be a part of the reference, nothing more. Use the quotes sparingly. Use the quote if you want to use the line stated by author. If some authors have stated an important thing, you can make a quote mark. Okay, so that whenever there will be check of the plagiarism effect, you will escape from that, or you will get rid from that. Okay. Then summarize and synthesizing. My submission is that as a researcher, my submission is that, or my suggestion is that you should be very much acquainted with how to summarize the review findings and how to synthesize all the things. Remember to summarize and synthesize your sources within each paragraph as well as throughout the review. The author here recapitulates the important feature of the Hamilton study, but then synthesize it by rephrasing the study's significance and relate it to their own work. The thing is, what is happening? You are not only trying to summarize, you are trying to connect it with your own work. Okay, this should be pattern of review. So another tip is that keep your own voice. Whenever you are trying to report the findings, so voice should be your. Okay. While the literature review presents others' idea, your voice should remain front and the center, means the writer's voice. Notice that Falk and Mills with reference to other sources into their own text, but they still maintain their own voice by stating and ending the paragraph with their own ideas and their own words. Okay. So you should be, whatever writing, you try to say all the things are my points. Though some ideas I have borrowed from the other sources, but I am trying to interlink one idea with another idea. I try to compare the two ideas and try to reduce newness. So whenever you are reporting, what is your, and you are the center. The sources only support what Falk and Mills are saying. Okay. Use caution when paraphrasing. When paraphrasing a source that is not your own, be sure to represent the author's information. Previous researcher. That means you are saying this is not the mine. Author's information or opinion accurately and in your own word. In the preceding example, whatever example I have shown you, Falk and Mill either directly refer to the text to the authors of their source, such as Hamilton, or they provide ample notation in the text when ideas they are mentioning are not their own. For example, Guesties. Okay. So now, can you do review? This was exactly some of the ideas I have tried to discuss or present for you so that you can do and review systematically. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, your presentation was as interesting as yesterday's FIFA quarterfinal matches between Morocco and Portugal and between France and England. Sir, you beautifully explained how review of literature is backbone of quality of research one can do. Sir, you have beautifully explained what one should do during explanatory research, like selection of methodology, conceptual framework, hypothesis, finding of research gap, and discussion and conclusion. Sir, you beautifully explained that how one should select and define his research topic. I memorized one of the quote from my PhD supervisor, Dr. Ram Vishwakarma, who used to say that selection of research topic is like selecting your life partner. So
Yes.
extensive research of literature review is must, so that one can select a good topic which he can have a good career in that topic. If any participant has any question or query, he can ask to our respected speaker.
Yes, it will be a pleasure for me.
Sir, good afternoon. Good evening, sir. Can I speak?
Yeah.
Sir, your presentation is really lucid and heart-touching.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a professor of law, K University, Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh.
Namaskar.
Just in some of the universities,
Yeah.
insist that review of literature should be the part of, should be a separate chapter.
Yeah.
Do you suggest that it should be the part of introductory chapter or distinct chapter? What is your suggestion?
Sir, nice question you have asked exactly. Very nice question, sir.
Thank you so much.
What will be my suggestion? My suggestion will be two. It is not the single answer. If you
Okay.
look at the way the Western researchers are trying to maintain the quality of their research studies, they
Yes.
are providing review of literature a separate space,
Okay.
part and parcel of their background. Because
Okay.
when our hypotheses are part of your introductory chapter, then how we can hypothesize without the review? First thing. Second thing, if I am trying to find out my research gap in chapter 1, how I cannot do or state my review in the chapter 1 and will keep it in the chapter 2. So my suggestion is that we should give it in the chapter 1. But there is another suggestion is that whenever we are exactly trying to present the chapter 1 about the synthetically the what the researchers are stating, or the trend of the or the developmental trend of the research, or finding a gap, we can give little what I can say, the little implication from the review, but huge amount are still exactly are there, because my methodology should also get justice from the review. My tools also get justice from the review. So for this cause, my suggestion is that try to present the review in a very synthetic way. You can present it in a chapter 2 or a separate chapter, but without hazily write down the way the Indian researchers are doing. Make it a tabular form. Write down who is the author, and in which year and which country it has done, what was his research question, and what methodology he has used, and finally what explanation or what findings he has done. So if you present the entire research based upon a single question, because your question may have multiple objectives, if each table should be correspond with your objectives, then accordingly you can critically analyze the trend of the review. So entire justice you can give if you present in a separate chapter but in tabular form. This is my suggestion, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, I have a question.
Nice meeting. Good night.
Sir, how can we do a judiciously? How we can do a literature survey? Do we have any software where we can do authentic literature survey, which is free, not paid? Do we have any software available?
Exactly, no, sir. Like yes, internet is the only software. Because
Sir, in the research lab we do have SciFinder, but it is paid. We have to pay the money to that. Those companies, they will provide you the information. Do we have any access from Google and Wikipedia, any other software which can help us in doing a character literature survey, authentic literature survey?
No, sir. Look at this thing. What I have intended to say that whenever you are reviewing, exactly question is your. No one can understand except you and your supervisor. Even your supervisor no less than you. First thing. Second thing, that what type of words you will search. It depends upon your own interest and your own critical analysis. No software can help you a lot, except you can help yourself. If you understand your own problem in a multiple way, you just identify or shut down some of the words and you search it again. And better to, my suggestion is that don't try to take the research paper available in the ResearchGate or the Google. Try to take the maximum research paper from the either Web of Science or the Scopus database, because these are very qualitative. That will help you a lot. A single paper will help you a lot. That thousands of paper available in the ResearchGate or etc. They will not help you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Bilal, you were raising your hand. You can ask.
Can I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Just I want to know that whether does a literature review have a research question?
Sorry, I can't get your point. Again,
Does the literature review has is a research question?
Yes, of course. Because when you are reviewing the literature, you are doing nothing, but you are trying to find out the answer given by the type of answer or quality of answer given by the previous researcher. So your question should be very much specific. For example, I was just giving the example. Do intelligence is positively related with the academic achievement? This is your research question. Or your research question will be why intelligence is positively related with the academic achievement. So try to make your research question very specific so that you can get exactly the literature, supportive literature.
Okay. And my one more question is that how can I demonstrate that my solution is the good one?
So sorry again, please. I can follow your question.
How can I demonstrate that my whatever the review, my solution is the good one?
No, exactly. When you are exactly reviewing a literature, you are not exactly finding the solution. You are trying to find a path. You are trying to find a background. You are trying to find a design. Okay. So if you have done the review in a systematic way, your design should be rational. Your design should have a background. Your question should be very much objective, and your question will be very much interesting, because you can in a 1 minute you can suggest that the entire literature review state this type of findings, but I pose again the second question which has not been tried yet. So this way you are not exactly trying to discuss the finding, you are exactly trying to make yourself more logical, more systematic, and more confident, because review will make you more confident, more logical, and more qualitative.
Okay. And do you think that comparative research review is helpful in research?
Exactly, comparative review, of course. Look at this thing. If you are trying to compare two research findings, or if you may include because some papers are available who has only reviewed the literature. Okay, you can also include this review paper as a part of your review, because this will help you a lot. The particular researcher has reviewed up to this year, but have not extended to this year, or this researcher has tried to find the answer to the particular question, but I am trying to find out the question with a different type of question. So if you include the previous reviewers research presented in a compartmental way, sorry, in a holistical way, in a single paper, because there are lots of papers available in the name of the review papers, you can also include them. That will help you a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Parthasarathi.
Yeah.
Any participant has question? Sir, I think we are done with question session. Finally, I once again thanks to our today's speakers, Professor Azra and Professor Partha Sarathi, the participants who made today's session interesting and beautiful. I thank to the organizing team of GDC Tangamarak, particularly our worthy principal, Professor Rubayya Rashid, Dr. Ghazala Gayas, and Dr. Hamida. I also thanks to my colleagues and admins of KF Common Trust India. I wish all of you good luck. God bless you all. Thank you.